right? So we mentioned that tonight is the 7th of it commences the 7th of Mar Cheshvan, in which we begin to ask for rain. And we mentioned that rain is the concept of not only agricultural source of sustenance for the entire universe, obviously very important, but for the collective idea and concept of livelihood in general. The farmer and the high-tech technician, the same. The Rebbe brings in regard to the fact that the 7th of Mar Cheshvan, as opposed to Shmini Atzeret, the seventh day of that we, or in Eretz Yisrael, it's the day after we have culminated the holiday of Sukkot. We start to the Shmini Atzeres. We start and mention the greatness of Hashem, who is the one that is able and that has enabled us to receive rain. But on 15 days later, we start to actually ask for rain. Why do we have this interim period? The Rebbe explains it is due to the concept of Avas Yisrael, the outstanding love of our fellow Jew, which is expressed specifically in the 7th of Mar Cheshvan. We know that on the pilgrimage, on the Shloshes Haragolim, the Jewish nation would come to the Beis Hamikdash. This included Sukkot, the holiday of Sukkot. Then it would take approximately 15 days for the most distant Jew to reach Eretz Yisrael, to reach the Beis Hamikdash in Yerushalayim. In order for this Jew or Jews to be able to return safely to their homes without being caught in the rain, so we postpone the requesting for rain in the Holy Land by 15 days, from Shmini Atzeres until the 7th of Mar Cheshvan. In Chutz La'aretz, by the way, it's different. We go according to the periodical times of the year when winter begins, and this is the time that they in the diaspora they begin to ask for rain. This is either the 5th or the 6th of the secular month of December. Nevertheless, here we see that despite the fact that the importance and the relevancy of receiving rain on time, right, here in Eretz Yisrael was one of the most highest of importance. It was on the highest level of emergencies and urgencies here in the Holy Land, due to the fact that the farmers already plowed the field, they sowed the field. If these seeds in the field will not receive the rain, so they will just shrivel up, and everything, and God forbid, it will be a year of famine. So this we see, despite the fact that it was so important here in Eretz Yisrael to receive rain, it was postponed by the 15 days that we mentioned, in order to make sure not only that the last person should arrive safely and dry without getting stuck in the mud to their home somewhere in the distant, faraway place, but it was even more important because these people were already in the Beis Hamikdash. They already came to visit for Sukkot. But the Chachamim, our rabbis of blessed memory, they teach us that we even have to look forward. We even have to look and see if this happening is going to come and have an influence, and it'll have some type of a detrimental effect on this family or this individual coming next year to visit in the Beis Hamikdash. In the other two holidays, in Pesach and Shavuos, we didn't have this problem of rain because it's not the time of rain. But Sukkot, this was the time of rain, and therefore there were the 15 days that we postponed asking for rain. Our story of this week also speaks about this concept, the idea of the asking for rain, and it's about about someone from the Slonim family that lived here in the Holy Land. We know that the Slonim family, they were sent. Rebbe Tzemach Tzedek and Rav Yaakov Slonim were sent originally in the 1800s to go into to fortify the Jewish settlement in Hebron, in the Jewish city of Hebron, which was initially settled by 15 families, just 15 families that moved from Tzfat to settle Hebron. Nevertheless, from this family, there was a Slonim, someone from the Slonim family that sailed from Eretz Yisrael to White Russia, to Lubavitch, in order to go into visit by the Rebbe Maharash, who was the Rebbe at that time. When he arrived, the Rebbe Maharash, Rabbi Shmuel of Lubavitch, asked this Jew, this Chassid, many questions and detailed questions in regard to the situation of the Jews in Eretz Yisrael, in the Holy Land. And as the Rabbi Slonim was answering the Rebbe Maharash, all of a sudden Rabbi Slonim came up and he made a remark saying that he doesn't understand that which it states in the holy books about the people that live in Eretz Yisrael. And he continued to say, it states there that the people that live in Eretz Yisrael, amongst them there are many very lofty neshamas, very lofty souls. He says, I've lived in Eretz Yisrael for many, many years, and I haven't come yet to see the difference between the Jews in Eretz Yisrael and the Jews that live here in White Russia, in Lubavitch. I haven't seen the difference. Well, the Rebbe Maharash looked at him and he said, aha, so you think that you're able to go and to have the qualifications to recognize a lofty soul? The chassid was quiet, and the Rebbe Maharash told him, I'll tell you a story from my father, from the Tzemach Tzedek, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. Tzemach Tzedek told over the following story. There was once in Eretz Yisrael a very simple farmer. And this farmer, if we say just a few details about his knowledge, he didn't know how to learn Torah. He didn't understand when he was davening, he didn't understand the words that he was saying in davening, let alone if this person was explained the difference between today's Tehillim, tomorrow it's going to be the 7th of Mar Cheshvan, and the day afterwards, the 8th of Mar Cheshvan, he wouldn't be able to go and to conjure up the understanding of how to go and to divide up the Tehillim into 30 days. And if you would explain to him the difference between the Tachanun that we say, the pentative prayers that we say on a regular weekday, as opposed to the longer Tachanun that we say on Monday and Thursday, he wasn't able to go and to bear this at mind. So therefore, when he would come to Yerushalayim, he lived outside of Yerushalayim, but on the day that he would come to Yerushalayim to sell his produce, so he had a rabbi in Yerushalayim, and he would go to this rabbi, and this rabbi would sit down and personally write notes of what this simple farmer should daven every day for the next coming 7 days. Why only 7 days? Because on the 7th day, he would already return to Yerushalayim again in order to sell his produce. So then it would be again replenished, not only his livelihood, but also his order of the day for the next 7 days of the week, what to daven, how to daven. The farmer, and it was the beginning of the month of Mar Cheshvan, the farmer came to the rabbi And he told him, please, Rabbi, if it's not difficult for you, could you write down for me the upcoming 2 weeks of what I need to daven and what I need to say during the week in my prayers? And he explained himself. He said that now it's going to be, this is the time that it's meant to be the rainy period, and during the rainy period it'll be very difficult to come, every week because of the circumstances and because of the situation with the roads that aren't so good. So therefore, please write down for me the 2 upcoming weeks. The rabbi was good enough to sit down, take more time, and to write down everything. And the farmer thanked him, but it so happened that this farmer, due to some pressing issues that he had, he was forced to come and to visit again in Yerushalayim the following week, not in 2 weeks, but the following week. And besides the fact that week it didn't rain, even though it was usually, naturally it would rain at this time of the year. He comes to the old city of Yerushalayim, and he looks around, and he's in a state of shock. He sees that all the Jewish shops are closed, and he's like really startled, and he's trying to think, oy vey, gewalt, maybe I miscalculated the days. Is it possible that today is Shabbos, and I traveled to Yerushalayim on the holy day of Shabbat? And he was really going in circles in his head until finally he saw in the streets an honorable Jew that was carrying under his arm his tallis and his tefillin. He says, wow, okay. If he's carrying tefillin, so obviously it's not Shabbos today, it's a weekday. But what is going on in regard to the fact that all the shops are closed? So he goes up to this Jew and he asks him, why is it that the shops are closed? This Jew answers him very simply. He says, it's a public fast day today, and this is the reason that the shops are closed. A public fast day. His calm was again all of a sudden disturbed. He says, a public fast day? He says to himself, I already ate today breakfast. Not only that, but I already davened. And in the davening, I didn't add the special parts that you're supposed to add in honor of the public fast. How could it be that the rabbi didn't mention anything to me? He didn't write down anything. I can't understand. He left his mule and his wagon in the middle of the marketplace, and he ran over to the rabbi's house. When he arrived at the rabbi's house, he knocked on the door, and the Rebbe answered the door, and she said, I'm very sorry, but the rabbi hasn't come back from shul yet. He leaves the Rebbetzin hanging at the front door, and he runs to the shul. When he arrives at shul, he walks up to the rabbi, and he's crying. He says, Rabbi, how could you do such a thing to me? How could you put me in such a predicament? The rabbi looks at him, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So he says, don't you understand? Today is a public fast day. And I've already eaten, and I haven't davened the proper davening, and you didn't even mention anything in your notes about the fact that today is a public fast. Then the rabbi smiled and calmed him down and said, if this is the case, you have nothing to worry about. And he explained that this usually is a time that rains are already falling in Eretz Yisrael, in Yerushalayim. But the fact of the matter is that it's been a very, very dry year. The previous year was a very dry year, and the rains haven't started to fall yet, despite the fact that they should be falling. And therefore, it was decreed here in Yerushalayim for the citizens of Yerushalayim, the Jews of Yerushalayim, that it will be a public fast day. And since you're not one of the citizens of Yerushalayim, so it doesn't apply to you. And the Jew looks at him and he says, are you serious? He says, of course I'm serious. And the farmer says, no. I mean, is that what you folks do around here when when you don't have rain, you announce that it's a public fast day? So he says, yes, that's what it says in the Mishnah. It's very clearly. And he says, no, you must be kidding. He says, no, it's a very serious matter. And the rabbi looks at him and he says, why? What do you do when it doesn't rain in your field? The Jew looks at him and he says, I'll tell you, Rabbi, when it doesn't rain in my field, I go out to the field and I raise my hands in prayer to Hashem and I say, Father, I need rain. And immediately after I ask Hashem for rain, it starts to rain. Now the rabbi is listening to all this, and he gives a very stern stare at the farmer, who he's come to know over the time, and he sees that the farmer is very sincere in the words that he just stated. So the rabbi looks at him and he says, you know what? If this is the way that you bring rain, so why don't you try it out for us here in Yerushalayim? The farmer doesn't think twice. He runs out to the courtyard of the synagogue, of the shul, and he starts crying like a baby. And he picks his hands up and he looks up at the heavens and he says, Hashem, I don't understand. Are you going to allow the people of your holy city to expire in famine? Don't you see that they need rain? Please make it rain. And immediately the clouds started to get thick and dark, and it started to rain, Gishmei Bracha, it started to rain of blessing. When the Rebbe Maharash finished this story, so he looked at this chassid that came from Eretz Yisrael, and he said, and now do you still feel that you are eligible to be able to go and to see who is a lofty soul and who isn't? Chi Adonenu Moreinu v'Rabbeinu HaMelech Ha'Moshiach Le'olam Voed.